All right. I guess you can see my screen. Can you see my screen?
No.
Yes, sir.
No.
One side.
Yes.
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 Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you. Okay. Yeah, you can see my screen. That is this is the script which I forwarded to you last week. This is it. And I was lucky to find this online. This is over 9,000 lines of code. Over 9,000 lines of code. You can see that. You can see that. Okay. So, and what we're going to be doing, first of all, is rather than me having to send you the backup database, which I will also show you how to do that, how to install that, but I want us to create our own database and then populate it with the data. What this data is it was prepared by Microsoft, and it's available online free, but apparently you need to search deeper now to find it because it's no longer supported. Instead, you will find the AdventureWorks, which is the new one Microsoft is using, and then there's another one which I can't remember the name as well. So, but the Northwind database is very, very old. Okay, so this script is actually what it is to. It says here this script does not create a database. That is first. Run this script in the database that you have that you want the objects to be created. Default is that's the schema DBO. Okay, and what they're just trying to say there is that you will have to have created your database, and then you will run this script, which I'm going to show you. And then once you run this script, you will now, when you run the script, then it's going to create the tables. It's going to create this database for us, this Northwind database. It's going to create these tables, all the tables here that you see as DBO, all the DBO tables. Not this one and not the SOM one. This one, the ones I created, but all the, and then these ones as well. But all the other ones is going to create for us, and it's going to populate them also with data. Okay. I will run through this script majorly today for us to learn one or two things then. Okay. First of all, I want to start from the scratch. You know, I did give a scenario of what a database is using the analogy of a house. And then within the house, we have multiple rooms. And then within the rooms, we have also partition. We have the wardrobe and all the stuff like that. That is just an analogy of a database. A database is just like a house. And then you have your rooms. Your rooms are your tables and all the stuff like that. And then we can equate the wardrobes and all the stuff like that as our functions, stores, procedures, and also views. Okay. So now in this instance, I already have a Northwind database. So I don't want to use a Northwind database, but I'm going to use I'll call this database SOM SOM season. I'll just call it SOM season 19. Okay. So I want to create a database. There's so many ways to create a database, right? But I will show you one or two. The first one is you can write the script, right? It says, and when you want to create an object in SQL, sorry, I will entertain the word SQL and SQL because they mean the same thing. When you want to create a database, you will need to use the word create because you want to bring it into existence. It does not exist before. Okay, so you use the word create, and then you now tell the engine also create, but then you now tell the engine the object you want to create or the entity you want to create. So say now I want to create a database, I'll say create database, and I'll give the name of the database that I want to give the database. If I want to create a table, I'll say create table, and then I'll give the name of the table as well. And then if I want to create a stored procedure, I will not say stored procedure, I will only say create procedure, and then create function, and then create view. Okay. But then when you are creating as well, especially within a database, once you have created your database, you can now have different schema. And schema is just labeling. It's just labeling. The default labeling within a database is the DBO, which stands for database owner. DBO stands for database owner. So the default is always DBO. And if you are creating a new object within a database and you do not specify a different schema, then it will assume the default, which is the DBO. So it's going to apply the DBO schema. But what does the schema actually let us do? What's the purpose of a schema? A schema actually is that every entity within a database must be unique. Like we have the customer table, right? We have the default will be dbo.customer, right? If I want to create another customer table within that database, it's going to throw me an error and tell me, oh no, you already have an object that is named customers here. So, but if I needed to create that table and still call it customer, then what I have to do is create what is called a schema, and which is a labeling. So I can now create whatever labeling I want to use. Say, for example, let me show you if I have in one of these. I think, do I have a schema here? Security. Schemas, you can see here, that's schema within the database. Oh no, okay, I have another schema here which I created. I have this schema which is called SOM. I created that, okay? But the default is DBO, which is this, okay? So when you see a database and a database object and you see DBO, you know that is actually the default that is being used, okay? And then once you see in another instance, so say for example, my database, my table, I'll see dbo.customers. That is the table name. And in my case that I've already created another schema, SOM, I can have it also as SOM customers, the same table, but now with two different labeling, different labeling. So if I have a separate schema, it will allow me to create this. If I don't have if I have not created this schema, then I cannot have another customer table in the database. Okay. Now, like I said, if you want to create a database with script, you can write create, and then I'll say database, and then I'll give the name of the database. So in this case, because it's a database, I don't need to put in a schema because it's just the house. Okay. So in this case, I'll call it SOM. I want to use small SOM underscore season 19. And this is my database name. And if I execute this, it's going to throw me an error. I will not go through that. And the reason why is that I'm already in a database. I cannot, from a database, create another database. Okay? It's just like you cannot, from within a house, right, create another house. For you to build another house, you have to go to a virgin land. Okay? So let's take we have the field as our server, a football field. I'm an Arsenal fan, so we have the Arsenal football pitch as our server. Okay, I can now. I see somebody smiling. I can now create a house by the left wing corner or of on one side. All right, and I want to create another house. I will not go into that house and now say I want to build another house within that house. No, I will have to go to a virgin land. In the space next to it, I can create another house and call it whatever name I want to call it as well. Okay. So because of that, because if you look at my connection here, which is where my cursor is cycling, you can see I'm already in the Northwind database. So for me to create a database in here, I will have to go to my master. And if you remember when we did that, I did mention that the master is the database that holds all the entities that is within this server. It holds all the entities that is within this server. Everything that we do on this server is recorded there. Some on a temporary basis, some on the permanent basis. Okay, so we have the temp. If I have a look at here, you see it says here system table databases. So here I also have the temp DB, which is where the temporary structures are stored, but the permanent one are stored in master. And what happens with the temporary one is that once that session is closed, it is deleted. It goes away. So all the script I've been writing and all the stuff like that, they are stored in temp. And once I close the temp or when I close that session, it deletes them and it can't go back to them. Okay. So for me to do this, I have to come into here and then change it to master, meaning that I'm going to the teach, which is our server. And then I can execute this. But I'm still not going to execute it because there are quite a number of things which I'm not going to do here, which I'm not going to write the script. But I'm just showing you, you can always write it this way. But now, the other way, which I'm going to show you, and that is what we're going to follow today, is I come here to the top of here, which says databases, and then I do a right click. I do a right click, and then it says here, you can see from the top here, new database. Okay, and I click on that. It brings up a window for me. And the reason why I did not create here because of all this, because I have to provide my mappings here, which is the path here. And I'm just not ready to go through that stress. That's why I'm not doing that. If you know you have all this thing, you can just create it with your script. Okay. And another thing, I will show you another trick which we can use as well. I can always change, but I was just not ready to do that. So now I'm going to create my database. I'm going to call it SOM. Let me even write it up as a season.
Sorry to interrupt, but there are 3 people waiting to be admitted into the.
Thank you. Oh, sorry. Where's that? Thank you. Okay. Yeah. So I call the name now SOM season 19. Okay. Here. This is just for your information, really. Here is, it says, this is the logical name, right? You see here, it says logical name, and it says here, it says rows, which is all the rows they're going to be creating is going to be stored into this folder here. And it says the file group is the primary one, and this is the size, 8 megabyte, and it's expandable. And then you can see here, it says auto growth or max. It says by 64 megabyte, and then it is unlimited. So it can continue to grow by 64 megabyte. Each time the space is running out of space, it will add another 64 megabyte. It will add another 64 megabyte. And you can change this depending on the growth of your database, if you know. Okay, you can change it by clicking the ellipsis here, and then you can alter that here. You can see in the megabyte, you can see, but you can do it by percentage as well. And you can put it to a limit of this. So you can always do that. But for this, I'm not worried about that at this moment. And then it's telling me here, it says it's going to my C drive, my programs file, Microsoft SQL Server, and then the folder MSQL 16, and then this Moloney Street, and then /MSQL, then /data. I can navigate to that, and you can see it here. So here, that is it. And you can see data, and that is this one. So You can see how it is navigated all through to this point. And this is the folder on your machine or your server where your data, which is in your database, will be stored. Okay, this is where it is going to be stored. All right. And then the second row there, it says the log. The log writes all the entries, all the operations that we perform. It writes it into what is called the log file. So sometimes as you get into the industry and you have issues, there's an issue and say, oh, the database, my database is running slow and stuff like that. And it says there's no space. The space in your data folder may not be exhausted, but the space in your log file, which is where it's writing every action you have taken, is writing them, is going to, it may be full, and that is the log file. So when you need to troubleshoot as well, you come into here as well. And what happens with that, you can either create another folder, another log folder and map to that as well, or you can clear down what is already in your log file, right? It's just the operations that you have performed. It's not storing anything um, um, valuable. Well, it is valuable, but it's not affecting your database. It's just the log, okay? Because every entry is written in there. So the log file, and that is what the second row here is. So it writes them into, that's the log file. You can see here it's giving the same logical name, but underscore log, and you can see the path. And here, if I expand on this and expand on this a bit, you see it's writing, I can change that to, but that is where my log file will go, right? And you can see that it's still going here, but then it comes in here as well. Okay, so that is our log file. And this is the bit. If I want to add another file group and path to it, maybe on another server on another machine, because if it's on the server, you can always spread your assets so that you're not subject to single point of failure. So I can add another one here if I want, but for this purpose, I'm not going to. Here, when I come to options, it gives me all that is going to happen within my database. Says collation is actually the machine language that is going to be used. You don't worry about it, just let it use the default. And then it says recovery. In case there's any issues and your database is down and everything, how do you want to recover it? And that is, you can either choose full, bulk, log, or simple. This is really not for you, but it's just good for you to know. It's really not for you. It's the work of a DBA, that is a database administrator. But sometimes in organizations, you don't have a DBA, and you just have to step in once in a while if you know what you can, how to fix it. And here, that's my collation. I'm going to leave that. And my collation, I'm leaving it as the default, but there are quite a few different ones. You can see here. So it can handle so many different languages. So many. You can see Albanian and all the stuff, Bengali, Chinese, and everything. That is why this single application can be used all over the world, because they've already taken care of everything. But in this case, because it knows I'm in the UK and everything, so I'm going to use, and the one which is our default really is the, let me see if I can find it, is the Latin, yeah, one of these Latin ones. You have some are case sensitive, some are not case sensitive. You see the ones that says CS here means it is case sensitive, and then the one with the CI is case insensitive. Okay, but I will let the machine or the engine actually choose for me. I'm not worried about that at this moment. Okay, and here you don't need to make any change as well. I don't need to make any change, and that's it. So what I'll just do next is just click on OK. And it's going to come and you see straight away it has created a database for me. Just in a twinkle of an eye. Now I want to see the properties. I can now go back and look at properties. And I can see what I have in here. You can see here. So this one means that the collation, which I said to use the default, is using the Latin General CPI case insensitive. That's the default. And you can see it's given the time and who is the owner and all the stuff like that. And I can see the files, which we did mention earlier, the file group and all the stuff like that. But we don't need to worry about any other thing. And if I want to see the script for this database, I can right click and then script database as create. You can see what it has done for me in the background. You can see. You don't have to worry. I'm just showing this just for your information. Okay, you can see what it has done in the background, and it has created that database. Okay. Now, I open my database. It should be empty. You can see I have the system table. System tables. You should have the system tables. They're not even there. They should be there. Okay, maybe because I've not created anything, so it's still a blank completely. When I generate a new database now, it's going to come up there because I just created it just like a shell. Just created a shell. Okay, there's nothing here. Now, I now want to create my Northwind in this database. Now, sorry, I want to create that in this database. Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm not. I want to create tables within this. I'm not calling it Northwind again, right? I did not call it Northwind because I already have Northwind. So that's why I called it this name. So in your case, when you're creating your own, you can call it whatever name you want. It's going to create the same, if you run the same script, it's going to create the same structure and everything for you. It's just your own name. So name that you're familiar with or you want. All right. So now I want to create, you see, it's an empty shell. And I want to create this script, which I've already brought in. So the script will be creating my tables. It's going to be creating all these tables for me, and we'll be populating with data as well. So this one, let's look at this one. It's going to populate with this data for me as well. The data here may be more than what we're going to have in that, because why? I have manually put in this row 1 to 4. This one, and even row 19 is me inserting into this table. So you will probably have less. We'll probably have about 91 or 92 or 93. I'm not sure. Okay. And if I come down here, you can see here, it says create. I'm creating what? An employees table. Okay. And that is my employee and the employee ID, which is identity, which is, I'm saying, is my primary key. And it will start from 1 and increase by 1. It will start from 1 and increase by 1. Okay. And these are all the columns that is going to be creating for me. And it's going to put in here, I'm putting a constraint. I will explain that later on. I'm putting a constraint, and the constraint is that the date of birth, right? It will check the date of birth is not less than today's date. This get date is, I will show you later on, is when I want to get a date. Is a function, is a built-in SQL function. So it's a date. And I'm making sure that the person that we are inserting is not less than, or is not somebody who has not been born yet. Because for you to be in this database, what you're saying is the person must be at least 1 day old. It must be less, his age or date of birth, rather, must be less than today. Okay. And I'm putting in, we're putting in a lot of other things here, which I'm not going to go into. Don't worry about those ones, the indexes. And then it's creating another table, which is categories, and then customers. And then you can see it's creating all these indexing as well. You see suppliers and everything. If I come here, I can change the name of these tables before I create them, but I'm just not worried about that. I just wanted to create, and then I can also go back and make some changes. One thing which I'm looking at doing once we have this created is I want to change the date, right? And after creating all that is necessary, is now going to insert the data. Okay, look at it here now. Oh no, don't let me even walk about. Let's go to where the data. Look at this point is where it is inserting the data into the tables. It says here insert. It's inserting into this table, and these are the fields in the table, and these are the values that is going to insert. And that is for customer and customers as well. I can add more if I want, right? And also inserting into the employees. And then this is now doing our orders table and so forth until it's quite a lot. And you see this long script, 9,000 plus row. You see how long it's going to take it for it to run. So now for me to execute this and create this in our new database, which is this, I need to change my connection from this one to that database. It will run if I run it on this current database, it's going to create new tables and other stuff, which I don't want. So what I'll do is select the database, right? And then you don't need to do any other thing, just click on execute. And you see it's completed. And if I refresh my database, and you can see my tables are here now. And not just the tables are here, it's got data in it. And you can see, you see 91, yes, so you can see it's brought in the data for me. So what this actually does is that keep this script. Right? Anytime you want to play around, you can go in and make it play around with the script. You can create as many databases and drop the database as well as you want. And then you have the script and it's for you with you. You can always play around. Okay, now we have our database. But it's just not created our database. It's also, sorry, our tables and populated with data, but it's also created some other artifacts for us. And in this case, it's created views for us. It's created these views, which I'm going to take you through what a view is. And then it's created some functions, no, stored procedures. It's created some stored procedures for us. I'm not sure if we have functions. We don't have any functions. Okay, we don't have any functions. Okay, and let's check if I have any other schema. You see here I have schemas. I do not have the SOM, it's just the DBO. I do not have the SOM, it's just the DBO. Okay, so now, any questions before I proceed?
I tried what you just did, but nothing is showing on that SOM session 19 for myself.
Season 19. Oh,
SOM,
session 19, session 19, yeah. Okay,
yeah. Nothing is showing for me.
You sure you executed it in that? Okay, share your screen.
I'm using a laptop different from my tablet. So
So you can, yeah. Well, where did you connect to when you were executing that script?
I
Because
connected
it
to
did, did you connect to SOM session 19?
yes, I did.
Then it
And
will be there. Do a refresh. Right click on this way and do a right and right click and then click refresh. If you're sure.
okay,
If you
okay.
have you done that?
Yes.
Is it showing?
Yes, it's showing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you
yeah,
so much.
once you create anything, it will not show up because your screen or what you have is as at the last time when you before you make any change or before you run any script. So for you to see what you have actually done, you have to do a refresh. Okay.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So here I have that. And you can see I don't have a database diagram. I'm not going to worry about that. All right. So we have our data now. Any other questions before I proceed? Okay. Yeah, my project for today. I want to bring in my script now. Nothing in there. I'm looking for my training resource. Where can it be? Okay. So we already have our database, and I'll be taking you through. It says, what is SQL? It says SQL stands for Structured Query Language. Then it lets you access and manipulate databases. SQL became a standard that is an ANSI, American Standard Institute, in 1986, and of the International Organization for Standardization, ISO, in 1987. So what can SQL do? SQL can execute queries against the database. It can retrieve data from a database. It can insert records into a database. It can update records in a database. It can delete records from a database. It can create new databases, which like we just done. It can create new tables in a database like we've just done. And it can create stored procedures in a database. It can create views in a database. And it can set permissions on tables, procedures, and views. You will come across the word RDBMS, which is Relational Database Systems, stands for Relational Database Management System. Okay, RMDB is the basic for SQL. It has to be relational for SQL to be efficient in it, and for all modern databases, database systems such as SQL Server, DB2, Oracle, MySQL, Microsoft Access as well. It says the data in RDB is stored in a database object called tables, and tables is a collection of related data entries, and it consists of columns and rows. Consists of columns and rows. SQL statement, which is sometimes called a query as well. Most of the actions you need to perform on a database are done using SQL statement, SQL query. The following SQL statement select all the records from the customer's table. So I think I did mention this sometimes back. It says select is the keyword. If you see any letter, any word here that is blue, it means that it is a keyword, it is a reserved word in SQL. But then you can see here, I have SQL, just a little bit of digression because some people, you can see here I have select as well. If I do not want, just like in Python, if I do not want the engine when I'm executing my query to execute a row or in my statement, then I can either use this double dash, and then it turns it into green, meaning that the engine is going to bypass it. Or sometimes when it's a big rows I want to comment out, I may like here now, this one, if I want to comment this one out from all these ones, if I want to comment them out, I can just come in here, either here or whatever. I'll do a slash star, and then I come to the end of it. I do a star slash. In that case, it has commented them out. It's this, what this has done is just the same thing that this has done. There are just two ways to do it. It's just the same. Okay. So here, what I'm saying is fetch, go and fetch me, right? And then the star here represent all. The star represent all. And the star, you can get the star from on your keypad when you press Control and then the letter 8. You see the star asterisk on the button for number 8. Okay, so select all from, I'm telling you where it is going to select all from the customer table. That's what I'm just saying in this line. Say, go and fetch me all rows from the customer's table. Because I have so many scripts here, if I execute, if I have to highlight this, if I don't want it to, if I click execute, it's going to execute everything that I have on here. And I don't want that to happen. So if I just want to isolate this one to execute, I highlight it and then click on execute here. And then it goes in there to fetch me the data. That's what we just brought in, right? There are times when this is useful for you to use this shorthand, star, and there are times when you need to actually spell out every row you want to see. Sometimes it's not all the rows in the table that you want to see that is relevant for what you're doing. It might just be a portion of them that you need, so you need to just list them out. In that case, you cannot use select star. You have to use select and then list the names like I have done here. It says here, the select statement says the data return is stored in a result table called result set. So what we have here is a result set. This is what is in the database, in the table, but this is just a copy of it. What I have here, I cannot make any change to it. This way, from here, I cannot make any change to it. It is just gone into the table and brought out all the columns and all the rows as I've instructed it and displayed it to me, and it's called a result set. Okay, and it's just a display. Once I'm done, when I close this, it's gone, and it's a copy. So it's a copy, you cannot make any change to it. All right. So now I want to select not all the columns, I just want to select a few of the columns. Okay. And here, let me now take this out. So here now I'm now saying, go and fetch me the customer ID, the company name, and the country from the customer table. Those are just the 3 columns I want to see. Those are just the 3. And you can see here, when I'm writing this, first of all, let's look at that table. Customers, columns. You can see the columns here. I have that, which is that. I have this one, which is that, and I have this column, which is this one. But one thing is you need to be, I have specified 3 columns. For the 3 columns, I have to separate them so that the engine knows that I'm actually specifying. So when you write your select and you write the first column, you put a comma. That is to tell the engine that, okay, this is the end of the first column. And then you name the second one, you put another comma. And then the third one, you don't have a comma. Okay? Because now the last one will not, because now after that, you're just telling it to go and fetch you're giving it a table name. But for some people, you will see it, some people, they don't like putting their commas on the right this way. I do like this, right? They prefer to put it on the right. Sorry, on the left, rather than the right. Sorry, 1 second. So what I do here, if I'm putting it to the left, I cannot put it here because it will just be that I'm saying comma and then I'm not specifying any columns, and that's the wrong way to do it. So for me, for it to do, you just put it here after the first row and after the second row, like this, if it's on the left. But then if you just look at it, it's just transpositioning, right? In your mind, just look at it, this comma, right? I bring it back here. It's the one that was there before. And this one, I bring it back here. It was one that was there before. So it's just, and that is why here you see that even the last row has a comma, because why? It is, this comma is actually for here. It's just that you carried it over to the next line. Okay, so if I do this way, I can bring everything into on one line as well. I can bring everything on one line as well. So, this was on the second row before. Now I can put it back to my first row. I like to align everything, and then you can put it back to the second row, and I can put it back that way. Okay, yes, and also I'll mention here, your select statement or your from statement, they are case insensitive, like I showed you when we did the database installation. It's case insensitive, so you can write in mix capital and small letter, you can write in small letter, you can write in capital letter. But for me, I'll prefer to my keywords, I like them in capital letters. It depends on your preference. So if I execute this, you can see it's just return back those 3 columns that I've specified for me. If I want to close, I'll teach you something here, which you cannot see me do, but I'll tell you what I have done. For me to close this window or to minimize this window for it to disappear for some time, press Control and then press down Control and then press R. Then that screen goes away. If you want to bring it back, just press the same thing back. Control R, Control R. It will bring it back and we'll take it out. It will bring it back and we'll take it out. Control R. Okay? So we have selected from that table. I would normally give exercise, but because you've not installed your SQL Server, most of you have not, I will continue. Okay? Now, another thing, let me see. This is what's supposed to be my exercise, which we are seeing here. I'm asking what is the missing word here? And that is select staff from customers. Okay. And then I'm coming. Okay, now let me do one more thing before I go forward. Here I have customer ID. I want the company name. I want the region. I want the country. You can see here I have not specified if I have not specified the schema DBO. By default, the engine knows, it puts it there. But if I don't put this there, the engine will still read it as DBO. It knows. That's the default. Okay. So if you have a table like customers table that exists in more than one schema, then you have to specify the schema in your query for it to know which of the tables that it is you are applying to. Okay, or you are referring to rather. Okay, so yeah, like now, there's something which we call the aliasing. Aliasing is very useful. And why is it useful is I want to like this company name. I don't want to call it company name, but I cannot change it because that is what is in the database, in the table. That's how it's recorded, the company name. The only way for me to change it is for me to come into the table and make a change, and I won't make that change. But for the script I'm going to be writing, I can always change it to whatever I want. And that is what we call aliasing. It's just renaming or renaming the column or even table itself for that instance of your query. It is a temporary, well, it can be permanent if you create your it can be permanent in your script, but then it will not have any effect on the underlying table. It will not have any effect on the underlying table because you are still calling the original name, but you are just telling it, okay, this is the original name, but I want you to display this as the name. That's what aliasing is all about. So for example, now I want to change this company name to customer name rather than company name. I will just come here, I'll select company name, and then I'll do as, and then I say customer name. Customer name. Okay. So now if I execute this, it's not going to display company name again. It's going to display customer name. And you can see here, it's now changed the name to customer name. Okay. And at the same time, I can also alias my table name. So say for example, sometimes when we get to where we're doing the joins, you will see how handy that the aliasing the table name is. So in this case, I want to alias the table, and this is my table. I don't want it to come back as, I don't want to cause customer. I can use a letter, I can use a number for it. So I want to have it as is customer, I just have it as C. But then, because it's just one table I'm referencing here, it won't give me an error. But if I'm referencing multiple tables, then it's going to tell me, look, there's an invalid name here. So what I have to do here is that for the engine to understand, in this case, it will understand, but when the engine to understand, I will have to reference my columns here as the new name I've given my table. So I'll say C, which is my new table name, C dot, which is C dot means that customer dot customer ID, and the same thing for all of them I have to do. You will see where this will be more interesting when we get to joins. Okay, so here I have alias my column, as customer name rather than company name. And I've also aliased my table as C instead of customers. And it's still going to give me back the same result. Still the same result. Okay? This is the same result. This is just altering for display only, nothing more. Just for display only. Any questions? Okay. Now the next thing I'm going into is what is called a distinct. It says SQL distinct statement is used to return only distinct or different values. So it means that, say for example, we have a list of countries and we have so many countries. Let's look at this here now. This one, how many countries? You can see here we have many countries. So you can see Morocco, you can see Germany, you can see UK appearing multiple times. But I don't want them to return multiple times. I want just one occurrence to be returned back to me. Just one occurrence of that column. It says, inside the table, a column often contains many duplicate values, and sometimes you only want to list the different or distinct values. So here we're saying the syntax says, select distinct syntax, which is now select distinct, and then you give the column name, and then you can list other columns as well. Okay, and then the following SQL removes, select all the duplicates and in the country. So here now, let's rewrite that. Select, and I have to put distinct. I put in distinct. Don't want the city yet. Okay, so I just want the distinct countries. And you can see I have only 21 returned. And you can see there's no duplicates. There's no duplicates. If I want now to have duplicates of the countries, but I want distinct cities, because in this case we have city. So it's going to return country and the city, but it's going to return the city, one distinct for the city, but the country will repeat because there is so many cities within the country. Okay, so if I had today's comma and then I put city, it's going to be different from the last result. And you can see here, you can see Argentina is returned back, but look at Brazil, look at this, it's returned to because of the different cities within the country. The same thing with Brazil, the same thing with Canada, the same thing with Dutch, France, Germany, UK, and US, and all the stuff like that, because the country will be unique now. Sorry, the city will be unique, but the country will be repeating. Okay. Any questions?
Yes, we have question, but later I think okay, based on this from this cost from this asterisk from customers, the details that you brought out, I don't know how you entered it initially.
I do not have a dash customers. Where's the dash?
From where your cursor is, where the
Yeah,
test
you can
cursor
see
is
I
going.
did say to you that when you have dash and it's green, that is the engine is not reading it. I've commented it out. Just like you have the comment hash in Python, that the engine will not read that line.
Okay.
Yes, I've commented it that because this is just my question. Is that you see it's an exercise. So the engine does not understand that. but I'm just putting it there as what's it called? Title, so that you guys can understand what I'm doing there. This is where the action is.
Okay.
Okay. And you said you do not know how I got this one there.
Yes.
I typed it in. You see me typing. You type in, select.
Okay.
Select. And if you, for even, you are typing my select, and I don't even want to type in everything, I can drag and drop. And then I'll just put my comma where I need to put my comma. Select. All right.
All right.
Yeah, you can just drag and drop.
All right.
Okay. Nothing is going to provide it for you. You have to do your typing. This is my training script. That is why you see me not typing. Okay.
Yes.
And then I can bring in the table name. That's it. I've written that straight away. I just repeated that. Okay.
Okay. Thanks.
Any other questions, please? Okay. So we've done select from, and we've done distinct, which is just returning unique values to us. Okay. Still my exercise. Now the next one I'm going into is my where clause. And it says here, where clause is used to filter records. You remember here, let me use this. Remember here, is return back everything in the database. Yes, another way to cheat, if you don't want to waste your time typing and all the stuff like that, another way to cheat is you can come to the table here, right click on it, and then you can see here it says script table as, right? You go to select to, right? You can either have it open up another window. If you don't want to open up another window, you can export it to a file, or you can clip to clipboard. If I clip to clipboard, it's clip to clipboard for me there. I can now come in here. Let me create some space. And then I can paste, which you can either do Control V, or you can do right click again and then paste. So you can see, but then when that happens, it's going to bring the name of the database. You can see that it says use that database. And then that one you can take that, and then you can now say, okay, these are the columns I want. I don't want these columns. Take them out. I don't want those. This is what I want. You see, it's written it for me straight away. Simple. Okay, it's just the same thing as I have here, which you can see. But then you can see here that the engine came back with block letters. That's the way I like to write my own as well. But the engine does it on the left side, where I prefer mine on the right side. And once happened like that, I'll just change it to the right side for me. Okay. Okay, so we have all this when we did a select star, or we can even do like I did earlier and list all the columns. But now I want to filter this data. I don't want everything. For the purpose which it says, okay, can you give me a list of all the customers from United States? Meaning that you want to go into the table and you want to apply a filter to only return where the country is United States. That is what we just, that's just the simple ask. So here, okay, so you see this context, it says where clause is used to filter records. It is used to extract only those records that fulfill a specified condition. The where clause, it says you select the columns from the table where, and you put your condition in there. So here now, I can now say select star, because I want to return all the rows, all the columns rather, and then from the customer table where country equals, in this case, Mexico, and is only going to return back Mexico customers to me. Execute that, and you can see the country is Mexico, not any other country, because I said I want where the country is Mexico. If I want the US, I think the US is USA, right? And it's going to return just the US to me. And you can see it's just the US. So what we have done is we have applied a filter. And why is it necessary? When you have a table that contains millions and millions of rows of data, you don't want to see everything. You want to see a subset that actually meets the question you are asking. Because what we're doing is you're more or less asking the table, the database, we're more or less asking questions with our query here. It's a statement asking questions, and it will give us back the result set. I hope I'm not too fast. If I'm too fast, please call my attention. I want everybody to have a grasp of it. Okay, I'm going to give you tutorial, so please follow quick. You're going to create some things for me. Okay, so I have applied my filter, and I can even apply an additional filter. I can apply an additional filter. For the accountants here now, you can now say, okay, I want all the transactions, all the payments that has gone in for customer XYZ, and it will return back so you now say select dash from whatever table name it is, where customer or customer ID or customer name as it may be is equal to the one you're looking for. And then it returns back everything. So the customer has been with you for 10 years. You don't want to see records transaction 10 years back. You want to see what is happening in 2025. And say you have a date column in that table, then you will say and year equals 2025. Or you want to see year from 2023 to date. You can now say where year equals or greater than 2023. Okay, so now let's go. So now we can now say we want to see here, we want to see where there is just sales rep. So now we can now say here, I can now do, I just like to do it this way, and contact title. Contact title equals, I'm cheating. I copy that and I paste that in. And you can see it's only returned back to me first US customers and where the contact title is sales rep. Okay. Now notice something. When I am passing in, this is a column and that is it here. Be careful with that. That's a column here. And this other one is a column and that is it here, right? So you cannot come and say where sales representative is. No, that is the data in the column. You cannot use that as your filter. You can only use your column or field, as it may be sometimes be called, as your you use the filter on the field for data that meets your condition. So in this case, my field here is customer. Sorry, my field here is country, and the data in it that meets my condition is US. I cannot say US equals country. No, that is wrong because US is not a column header. US is the data in the table. Okay. So, and the same thing with the contact title, that's the column name, where the data in it meets this condition. Okay. And then you can see here also that I'm wrapping it round in quotes. I'm wrapping it round in quotes. And the reason why I'm wrapping it round in quotes is because they are the column, the data, this data, they are string data, text. If it is text, then you have to wrap it around in quote, open and closed. But I'm not too sure. Microsoft changes every time. So if I execute this, it's possible it will execute. But in time past, you can't do that. It will throw you an error. But let me try. I may be wrong. You see now? You see invalid column name because it's reading it as a column. But once I wrap it around, good, Microsoft did not disgrace me. So execute it now, it will return that back. And I'm not saying, okay, where the condition is, where the country is equal to US, and I put in another condition. And I can continue to add more conditions and more conditions and more conditions. I'll just need to use the keyword and. Say now, I want to now say, okay, that's title, and I want to do another one, and I say, and city equals Eugene. No, that's not the yeah. Let's use Eugene, and we'll say you can see now I've filtered and filtered and filtered them. And what do I use? Conditional and statement. And that means that condition must be fulfilled. The condition must be fulfilled for it to return back the result set onto me. Okay. It says here the where clause is not only used in select statements, it is also used in update and delete. When we get there, you will understand that. I don't want to jump ahead. Okay. But just bear in mind, it is not used only in select, it's used in update and delete as well. Okay. And it says here text field versus, it says the SQL requires single quotes around text values. Most databases will allow this double quotes. However, numeric fields should not be enclosed in quotes. If it's numeric, it don't be enclosed in quotes. Okay. So this is numeric. What we've done here, jumping. And now I want to introduce another keyword. Let's go back to this gentleman. And let's look at the countries. You can see the countries are arranged. This is arranged alphabetically, but it's not affecting the country. So the country, and I'm not bothered about this. I want the countries to be arranged alphabetically, okay? And the next word I'm going to introduce here is now the order by. Order by. It says the order by keyword is used to sort the results. You know, in Excel, you can use the, you have that order by and sort by. In Excel, it's just the same thing as here. It says order by keyword is, order by keyword is used to sort the result set in ascending or descending order, and the default is descending. Sorry, it's ascending rather. Sorry, my bad. The default is. So now I'm saying select all customers, which is what we have here. Order by country. Let me take that out. Order by country. And if you watch this. It's going to be different. And you can see now it has sorted it out from A to Z. If there is a, so Venezuela V is the last one. And you can see here, I did not specify, I just said order by, which is meaning I have just said the same thing. This is the keyword, the short word for ascending in SQL, ASC, ascending. It's the same thing as if I did not put anything here. So it's still going to return back the same thing here to me. You see, it's still the same thing, but now I can sort it the other way around. I can now say descending, and this is the keyword function for descending. Okay. And then you see V is going to start from the bottom. And you see it's bottom up. The other one is top down. Okay. So if I want to do it this way, I have to specify it to overwrite the default, which is ascending. If I do not, then it will always use the default. And also, I can also specify my order by the column number instead of just by the name of the column, which I like to do most of the time, is that I now count the column, the position of the column in my table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is number position 9. So I said here, select start from order by 9. It's done the same thing. And I can say order by 9. Let me use the small letters as well. And it's done it the other way around. So you can either use the name of the column or you position number of the column. Okay. Any questions? Is this still interesting? Is this still interesting?
Yes, sir. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
following, sir.
It is quite interesting. Okay.
It is, it is. Thank God I'm now catching up.
Okay, good. That's what I want to hear. Okay, Barnabas. Okay, you raised your hand. You dropped it. Okay. All right.
No, I gave a thumb up, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thumbs up, yeah.
Okay, so moving on. You can see here, I can also cascade my order by as well. And in this case, I have only selected a few columns for return, but now I am ordering by 5. You now notice, you now say, but earlier I used 9. Why am I using 5 now? Can anybody tell me why I'm using 5 now? Look at my script and tell me why I'm using 5 instead of 9.
Because you want to order by address.
No.
Oh.
You mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Order
You
by
will look at.
country.
Say that again.
Because you want to order by country, which appears to be the 5th one.
Thank you very much. Because I have specified a list of columns here.
Okay.
I am not following what is in the table anymore. I'm only selecting some few columns from the table in my statement here. And in that case, country is now my 5th position column. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is why I have 5 here. It's no longer 9, which is in the table. If I was bringing back every column in the table, then country will still remain as number 9. But in this case, no, I've removed some columns. I don't want them. I only want this one. This is the subset I want. And country is number 5 in the subset that I want. So that is why it's number 5 here. And then here, I can also, I'm mixing it up with what? The city. I said, okay, sort it by country and then followed by the city. So we'll sort it by country and also sort the city. So let's look at that. And then you can see here, Argentina, but it's the same country. Sorry, it's the same city for all of them. But look at Belgium. You can see it sorted the city up as well. Belgium, but then the city B, and then C after B. Let's go to the US, which will give us a clearer. Even let's look at okay. Look at this one as well. It sorted it from A to Z. So you look at Germany, you see it starts from here. It will sort this and then sort this. If I do not sort that, let's look at it the way it's going to return it without the city sorting. Look at Austria. S is coming before G. This is even okay. Look at Brazil. You can see Campina. Sao Paulo is before Campina. So this is not sorted, but this is sorted. So now I'm including that to be sorted as well. So I'm going to sort them. And you can now see Brazil. You see Campinas, and look at where Sao Paulo is. Right.
Brazil.
Okay. So you can see. So that is the benefit of sorting. Okay. And I can continue to add more to it as well. Now, it says, let's watch the product table here
So,
now.
sir.
Yeah.
So instead of saying order about 5, city, we'll have said order about, as in, we can also say order about 5,4, right?
Yes, we can say that. We can definitely say 5 and 4. It's still going to return back. Okay. And then we can also change the sort order here as well. This one, let's leave it at that. And then we can now do this as descending as well. And then you can see Sao Paulo comes before. You can see that. Top down. Right. Look at France. Yeah. Look at that as well. Top down. US. Look at Walla Walla, and the first one is a big. So you can see, and you can change the reverse. Depends on what you are trying to, the need you are trying to meet. Okay. Now, okay, I've actually explained this, but the AND operator, it says the AND operator, which is what we've used earlier. And the AND operator is used to filter records and record based on more than one condition. So this is applying a second condition. It says, like if you want to return all customers from Spain that start with the letter G, which we've gone through that already. And it says here, it says the AND operator display a record if all the conditions are true. Okay. The AND operator returns if all the conditions are true. But we're now introducing another operator, which is the OR. The OR operator displays a record if any of the conditions are true. Get it? There's a difference there. All the conditions are true. If all the conditions are not true, it will not display anything. Okay? All the conditions must be true. If 4 of the conditions is true and 1 is not true, it will not display anything. But if you want to now display the 4 conditions that are true, excluding the one that is not true, then instead of using and, you will use or. You will use or. Okay, let's look for the example to demonstrate that. Where's my or? Okay. Let's write another query. Oh no.
Excuse,
That's
excuse me, sir. Before you
yes.
go further, this last one that we did, order by 1, descending,
No.
then 4.
Order by 5 and 4, not 1.
Okay, 5 and 4. Sir,
Yes.
I checked the table. I really can't relate the table with the order. I don't know if you can explain.
I've explained that earlier. It is
Yes,
the
sir.
order, the position of the column in the table. But in this case, it is when we did it earlier, the position was 9 for the country. Country was 9, right?
Yes.
Which is this one. No, sorry, this is this one. So you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yes.
Okay, but look at it here. I'm saying 5 and 4.
Mm.
I am not saying select star here. I am saying select company name. I'm not even bringing in the customer ID. So I'm excluding some columns in my query here now, in my statement. Give me the company name, give me the contact name, give me the contact title, give me the city and the country. Those are 5 columns that I've selected.
Yes.
And what number does country falls into in that statement?
5, sir.
That is why you have 5 there. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Because I'm not selecting everything from the table. The original position of country in the table is 9. I'm not using that because why? I have now selected a subset of the columns rather than the whole of the columns in the table.
Right.
Okay? And
Yes,
that
sir.
is why city falls to number 4. And if you look at it in the table, city is probably number 6, right? And that is, but in this statement, what you're looking at is what I have written here. Okay, not this whole table. I've selected a subset. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I want to create something else. Let's go back to our, where is our other table? Query rather. Okay, let's write it out. So now I have this. Okay. And I now want to say, let's take away, let me rewrite that so that I won't take this off. Come on. Copy, and then keeps the space, and paste. And I don't want this. So I'll now say where country equals, let's use the US. I know I have quite a few columns there, the rows there, right there. So I say that. They say I have 13 records returned back. And then I want to say, and let's use the contact I2. Equals, let's use which one has more? Sales rep. Okay. So it's going to return back to me free. But let's go back one step. So you can see my condition, these two conditions are true. There is country equals US, and there's contact title in US that is sales rep. Okay. So those conditions are met. But I can now say, and contract title equals, or I'll now say again, let's look at city. I know all the cities here, and I can now say city or city equals Washington. Okay. You can see it still displayed everything. But now let me take this out, is US, and then I now say and city equals, we don't have city Washington. So I'm not saying we don't have city Washington, and then I say where the country is US and the city is Washington. Condition 1 is met. Condition 2 is not met. So it will not display anything. When you use and, all the conditions must be met. All the conditions must be met. But if you use and, but if I want to circumvent this, if I want to bypass this, say I'm not sure what I have in my data, especially when you're a data analyst and you're trying to understand the data, you're trying to investigate the data to see so that it can meet the requirement, or to prepare the data to meet the requirement, you will do a lot of interrogation of your data and things like this you want to find out. So in this case, if I change this now and I say to or, what condition, or city, right, equals, no, it can't work. I have to use and. That is the unfortunate thing. I have to use and before the city. Condition, yeah, let me see. No, I think it will work. Yeah, it will work. So you can see it still display back everything, but it's return back everything because why? Condition 1 is met. But condition 2 is not met. And what did it say is here? It says, like, if you want to return all customers, yeah, no, where's my or statement? Yeah, my or statement, the or operators display record if any of the conditions are true. Any of them is true. Does not have to be. But this one, all of the conditions must be true. All of the conditions must be true for that to display. But this just needs any of the condition. Just one of the condition is true, then it will return back the one that is true. It cannot display what is not true because that means it does not exist. But the one that is true that exists is going to display it. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
good.
sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Let me take the last one for today. I now have another keyword. And this keyword is like, L-I-K-E. When you are looking for, say for example, like I have this problem at work now. I have in our business system, they have entered some of our clients. They have entered them multiple times. One, and then two, they have also entered their name differently. Sometimes, say for example, they want to enter Barack. They enter.
Not told you how you would do it, though.
Sorry. Can you mute yourself? They entered Barack Hussein Obama. Then somebody came in and said, oh, we're entering Barack H. Obama. Somebody now came in and wrote, oh, Mr. B. H. Obama. Somebody came in and wrote Mr. B. Hussein Obama, or Mr. Barack Obama, or Mr. Hussein Obama. You can see we have, it's the same person, but they've written it in different flavors. So, and you want to actually find out, right? So now what I can do is to now go in to look for passing in what we call the wildcard. Okay, what is common? I know Obama is common amongst them. They all put the surname, right? But the first name and the middle name may they have written them differently. Some have written the full first and middle name. Some have written the initials. Some have written just the first name, and some have written just the first name, initial, and middle name, and then but I'm writing the surname. So I can now go in and say, okay, let me use a wildcard. I want to see everything in my table that is got a surname for Barack, but there's a way I'm sorry, Obama rather, has got a way I will write it. So now let's look at this data which we have. It says select staff from customer, where country equals Spain, and company name like G percentage. Let's look at this first. This part of the query. So we have company name. So we have company name Galeria. We have company name Godos. So, but I'm not sure what we have there. So what I'm now saying is, and where the country is this, and the company name like, and I'm passing in here and saying G. It says it starts with letter G. Right? It starts with, the company name starts with letter G, but the percentage sign here, the percentage sign here means that it could be followed by any length of letters, right? And it can be in any format. But what I'm saying is, I know definitely, just give me when the first letter in the company name starts is a G. So the percentage sign means, and any other letter, excuse me, any other letter can follow suit. And if I run this, it should return me back these two. That's what I'm expecting. And you can see there, it returned me back just those two. Said the G is, yes, this is compulsory, this is mandatory. It has to be, the first letter has to be G. The first letter has to be G. Let's do another one. Let's look at, okay, let's look at the contact title. Let me write another one, copy that. Now I'm looking at the contact title. I'm looking at the contact title. I said where the contact title, but I want to see the ones that are managers. I don't care. All right. So here, I'm going to move it around. I'm going to now say percentage. It can start with anything. I'm saying it can start with anything, but it must have manager. In fact, I may not even write the whole of manager. I may just say man, and then I'll put a percentage around it again. So meaning that it can start with anything and it can end with anything, but in the middle somewhere, there must be AMN in that order following. Okay? And you can see it's returned back to me all data managers. What I'm saying here is that it can be preceded, this percentage means it can be preceded with anything. It can be preceded with anything. It can be executive account, whatever. It can be accounts, it can be sales, whatever it can be. But in there must be AMN, which is just, and then the last after, it could be, instead of manager, it could be management. If there's anything management, you know, MANA, management, right? Manager, the same thing. So I'm just saying, okay, just give me that. Let's do something again for you, for a bit of clarity. Contact, let's use contact name. I've seen what I can use. Contact name. And then I'm now saying contact name like, I want to use, let's use this one. Let's use the arrow. Okay. I know what I'm expecting to return back. And you can see what you can see. So it says in between there, because I've wrapped the DRO between two percentage sign, I say I don't know what can be before or after, but in the middle somewhere, there must be this. Okay. And if I change that to, let's look at something else. There's another one. Okay, let's look at city. I say city like, and I'm not sure, right? But I say I can use this underscore. I can use that underscore. Let me see what I can use. Let me go back one step. Okay, let's do this. And let's say, I'm not sure if it is London. I can say London, and then do I have Leon here? Do I have Leon? I don't know. Okay, I have Leon. Okay, I have Leon. So I can say the first letter is L, and if I say first letter is L and follows by a percentage sign. Okay, and I don't want, cannot use pen anymore then. Where I take that out. So now I'm saying the first letter is start with L, but anything can follow through. And you can see, in fact, I didn't even realize I have Lily, I have Lulia, I have Liboa, I have Leipzig. You can see. And because I've just specified that. And now let me now say, let me see the one that looks close to each other. Oh, I don't have much of similarities. I don't have much of similarities. Okay. Then I can now say also, let's say I'm not sure if Leon is spelled whichever way. I can now say underscore. It starts with L, and there's a missing blank. This underscore means that one character there is missing, and then I can say percent London, LON. This one, what do you think is going to return back to me? This one, I'm just showing you, we don't really use it. It's too basic, right? It's just going to return back to me.
London.
Yes, because it's just one missing character. Okay. But now, I can now say anything before and it ends with this. What do you think this is going to return back to me?
London.
London, Lyon, and the
Yes.
like
Yeah,
Lebanon.
London, yes. You can say London and Lyon. Okay. So we've touched on, just a recap for today. Let me go into a new. Okay. So we've touched on select. The keywords we've touched on from. We touched on the where clause. We've touched on distinct.
And
We've touched on
Where?
where. Yeah, I've touched on,
and.
and then and we touched on or.
And
We've
like.
touched on like.
You can order by.
Yeah, we touched on order by. Okay. And we've touched on what? The wildcard.
Also alias.
And also alias as well. That's a lot for today. I don't want to scare you.
Where's the
there's still more.
assignment?
I will send it to you.
Okay.
Your first assignment is all of you create your own database and install the script to have all your tables and everything in there. Okay. Yes. Quick one. Let me stop the recording.
Sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
I just want to thank you for today, sir. But
You're welcome.
my own little concern today is just the beginning of the class. How you created the database. That's
You
just the
will
only
see it in the
place I have.
video. That is the point of the video. You will see it in the
Yeah, that's
video.
why I just like yeah.
Yeah, you will see it in the video. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Yes. I am traveling, and Jide is traveling too. Next week is Easter, and we're not supposed to have a class next week according to the school calendar, but I am willing to make up if you guys will be here, if you want it, if you're not traveling, and to come in, have all the class next Saturday, and then Jide will follow through another 2 weeks because me, I will have been gone. And then I will come back before Jide. My next class, if I don't hold the one next week, my next class is going to be on the 17th of May. Okay. So meaning that if I don't hold the class today, and we will have a week or 2 weeks break. So depends on how you vote today. If you want us to hold the class next week, I'm willing to do that. If not, we'll be on the 17th of May. So please unmute yourself and talk and make your suggestion. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy to come next week.
I want to come next week. I'm willing to come next week.
Okay, sir.
I'm willing to attend next week.
I will be
I need to
available.
come next week, sir.
I'll be available too.
Okay.
I'll be available next week, sir.
Okay. Looks like majority. So we're going to hold the class next week.
Available next week too.
Okay. So we'll be holding the class next week by the
Next
grace
week
of God. Okay. Good. Thank you, everybody. So we'll be holding the class next week. Okay. And before I go next week, I will give you loads. I may give you loads of assignment to cover for the time as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. All right. Any other questions?
Yeah, please, sir, please, the recorded video for this class, when is it likely that it can be uploaded so that we can?
It depends on Jide because it's Jide. I don't have access to the cloud environment because it's recorded to the cloud. And I was speaking to him this morning, and he said it takes time for the compilation to complete. And then one thing again is that he will, as much as possible, we try now to remove some unnecessary things so that you just don't have the conversation and other stuff in the video. So sometimes it takes time for him to do the editing. But if the video is clean, then it doesn't need editing. They will just be able to post it. So I've spoken to him that he should try and please post it by this evening. So what time he's going to do that, I don't know, but I've spoken to him about that.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
And for you, if you need to have subscribed to the YouTube channel.
Yes, I've subscribed.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you,
Enjoy the
sir.
rest of your evening.
Thank you.
And
God bless you, sir. Thank you for
God
your
bless
Thank you,
you.
sir.
God bless you, sir.
God bless you.
Have a nice
For sure.
weekend.
You too.
That's